That's entertainment. You know, when you're a great fighter, a great entertainer in general, you want the person to say, when do I see that person again? When's he gonna play again? When's he gonna fight again? You know, you gotta be able, if you can't put in the seats, you're gonna get fired. You know.
Fight, and I have Crawford winning this fight. Crawford's gonna win this fight doing something that nobody's done to Canelo.
Okay.
That's all I'm gonna say. And it didn't take me going to camp to know this.
Okay.
So Israel Majamov says that if Terence Crawford bulks up, that's going to be the biggest mistake he can possibly make. And that's going to hinder him from being victorious against Saul Canelo Alvarez.
Mike Tyson just dropped the truth bomb after working with Terence Crawford in training. According to the heavyweight legend, the real fight against Canelo isn't just with fists, it's in the mind. Tyson insists the pressure of this stage is next level, but if Crawford can stay calm and master his own psychology, he won't just have a chance, he might make it look easy. Can Crawford turn mental warfare into a secret weapon?
You know, fighters, pressure, right? Pressure's not being hit. You know, everybody thinks pressure's like getting on stage. No, pressure's the thought of being hit. And that's how they fall. The thought is go, I'm not hitting that hard, but they think I am.
Right. So
it's all psychological.
Are you, when you're walking to the ring, are you noticing anything or are you so locked in?
I see everything moving. Every person, every girl.
Dude, your walk-ins would last longer than the fights sometimes.
Do anyone have a napkin on my towels? Because I'm sweating like a pit with one hole up here.
You're sweating.
We will get you one.
You're sweating.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're sweating like Charles Barkley at a spelling bee.
Yeah, I'm going to be sweating pretty hard there, too.
Exactly. So, Mike, we all know you hit hard. Who was the first person that when they hit you, you was like, oh, okay, this guy hits pretty hard?
Amir Khan, who's felt Canelo's power firsthand, isn't buying the idea that this is a one-sided matchup. He rates Canelo's experience as world-class, but he's seen Crawford's new punching power up close, and it's scary. With Crawford bulking up and adapting to heavier divisions, Khan says both men are bringing game-changing skills. This isn't just another main event, it's two elite fighters, both able to change everything with a single shot. Khan respects Canelo's dominance, but he's warning everyone Crawford's adaptability makes this fight a total wildcard.
He did that to Canelo after, so to your point, can Crawford do the same? Coming up from 54 and 47, can he, or will that, throw off the catch and shoot? I was going to catch and shoot.
We're not catching and shoot.
Make me think.
We're not catching and shoot.
We're catching it, resetting, and getting out of this range for a minute or two.
My fight with Arrow, I came back to the corner, and I had a look on my face, I guess. And my dad said, what's wrong? I said, nothing. Like, classic Sean, nothing. He said, Sean, tell me what's wrong. I said, my legs are kind of tight. He said, your legs kind of tight. He looked back, looked behind him. He would always do this and look back at the other corner. I don't know why. He looked back at them.
It was a habit, probably.
He said, all right, we're not going to use our legs so much this round. And I was thinking to myself, like, I need these legs.
I'm not trying to wear these shots.
Yeah, so, to your point, when there's a feeling, when
the nervous system goes out,
where does that adjustment take place? Do you trust the adjustment? Do you implement it? So that next round I did settle down a little more. I was
lost around.
Whatever. Hello.
I don't even know what round it is. Chill out.
He don't even know what round it is. Pour this water on you. So we got some time until this fight. So we ain't gotta pour it all out at one time. We'll work our way up to this one.
Try to get on big guests to lead up to the fight.
Expect some more very, very big guests and expect some very, very big things from the Puerto Rico podcast. The week of Crawford versus Canelo versus Crawford takes place here. What is that? September 6th?
13th. I was just gonna say, I've been critical of the fight because I felt like it serves as a foreground to the Ali Act stuff.
But there's a shadow hanging over Crawford's chances, his age. Analysts are raising red flags. By the time this fight happens, Crawford will be 38, and that's no small thing in boxing. Sure, he moved up to 154 from Madrimov, but one fight doesn't prove he's ready for Canelo's relentless attack at higher weights. Age affects everything: speed, reflexes, recovery. Crawford's skills are still razor sharp, but will his body keep up when it matters most? This is more than a technical test. It's a battle of mind, body, and legacy.
Being successful, September 13th, Las Vegas, Nevada, Allegiant Stadium, when he takes on another first ballot Hall of Famer, 4-division world champion, 2-time undisputed world champion, and reigning undisputed super middleweight world champion, Mexican superstar boxer Saul Canelo Alvarez, who is 63 wins, 2 losses, 2 draws, 39 wins by way of knockout. Terence Crawford had one fight at 154. That was against Israel Majimov, the WBA junior middleweight world champion, right? And since then, Terence Crawford has moved up now to 168 to challenge Canelo Alvarez, okay? And so prior to that, he spent 5 years at what? Welterweight. So the concern that people have for Terence Crawford, rightfully so, is that Terence Crawford will be 38 years of age 2 weeks after the fight. So he's 37, okay? Terence Crawford has one fight at 154. Prior to that, Terence Crawford has been competing, okay, since 2018 for the last 7 years at 147. Since June of 2018, he's been fighting at 147. His only fight outside of that division in the last 5 to 6 years was his fight against Israel Majimov at 154, which he won, unanimous decision. I thought he handily won, but people thought that he struggled. Israel Majimov is now 10 wins, 2 losses, 1 draw, 7 wins by way of knockout because he lost his last fight to Mexican superstar, WBC junior middleweight interim champion, Virgil Ortiz Jr.
Crawford's camp isn't leaving anything to chance. They're obsessed with not repeating Jermell Charlo's mistakes, and Crawford is making it clear he's not Charlo. His strategy? Outsmart, outmove, and outthink Canelo at every turn. Training has been brutal, focusing on movement, precision, and relentless defense. They know brute force won't win, so they're planning to frustrate Canelo, make him miss, and strike back with counters. Every session is designed to survive and win against Canelo's pressure.
Team Crawford just revealed that they're currently working on making sure that the Omaha native doesn't end up like Jermell Charlo this coming September 13th when he faces Canelo Alvarez. Now this report comes from Boxing Scene, wherein it was just revealed by somebody from Crawford's camp that Terence Crawford is, quote, wary of repeating the mistake that former 154-pound champion Jermell Charlo made to a new weight limit without consideration of other factors. Boxing Scene further elaborated by saying that Crawford wants to retain his ability to fight with fluidity, maximizing the effectiveness of his power punches from both hands and ability to fight from a southpaw stance. With that said, Crawford's camp is now on full lockdown from the media or any sort of distraction up until fight week. Now, it's definitely worth considering that while it's technically
Still, the boxing world is buzzing about Crawford's new physique. Recent photos show him bulked up, and critics are asking, has he traded his trademark speed for raw power? More muscle can mean more punch, but it can also slow you down and sap your endurance, especially at 38. While photos can be deceiving, the concern is real. Will Crawford still be the lightning-fast technician fans love, or will the extra size cost him his edge?
The man is simply human. I mean, the more you age, and the more weight you gain, of course you're going to be slower. Now, that doesn't mean that he won't be an elite fighter anymore. No, of course not. When you talk about special fighters like Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, they can handle themselves against anyone on any given night in the worst circumstances possible. That is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. So let's get back into the discussion when it comes to Terence Crawford carrying the 168 division, when it comes to the 168 pound weight. So if you actually think about it, Terence Crawford, how is the man looking right now? I know, yes, I know that we have seen the new pictures of Crawford with him looking absolutely massive, but I actually talked about this in one of my previous videos, ladies and gentlemen, which you can go back and check out. Terence Crawford, don't let these pictures fool you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't let these pictures fool you. Yes, of course Terence Crawford gained weight, but the pictures make it seem like Terence Crawford looks like a heavyweight. Let me tell you this, ladies and gentlemen. The lighting and the pump and the angle, everything plays a part in how you look in pictures. You know what I mean? Like, this is a fact, ladies and gentlemen. I can show you 2 pictures of me taken within 24 hours, and in one picture, my physique looks completely different than the other picture. One picture I can take after having a unbelievable workout, with a nice sweat on, with a nice pump, with some nice lighting, and a nice angle. I would look completely different than when I look right now, or getting out of bed, which I just did.
Abel Sanchez, one of boxing's most respected trainers, isn't mincing words. He sees this as a mismatch. Sanchez claims Crawford is simply too small, and that this fight will look more like a sparring session than a war. In his view, Canelo's size, strength, and experience at higher weights give him a decisive edge. Sanchez respects Crawford's skill, but says greatness can't always overcome physics. Is this just harsh reality, or is Sanchez writing off Crawford too soon?
Crawford, quote, "It will be a sparring session for Saul Canelo Alvarez." Coach Abel Sanchez dismissed Crawford's chance against Canelo, and it's really because of the weight gain. Renowned Mexican trainer Abel Sanchez has reignited the hype surrounding Canelo Crawford, scheduled September 13th, Las Vegas. Speaking to the ring, Gennady Golovkin, trainer, says, quote, "Crawford is a great fighter, but that's why weight divisions exist. Canelo has proven that when he moves up, he faces and beats the best in each category. Neither Bivol could hurt him, nor could my fighter in 2 fights." And he's talking about Golovkin. And even though Canelo and Golovkin fought 3 times, Abel did not train him for the 3rd fight. It was Jonathan Banks. So that's why he said in the 2 fights that he's familiar with, he's saying that Golovkin never really hurt Canelo. The weight jump, the big disadvantage. Crawford, undefeated record. He's 41-0, 31 knockouts. Agreed to move up to 168, blah, blah, blah. And he says, quote, "If Crawford had taken 3 or 4 years to gain strength and mass properly, he would have a better chance. But doing it in just over a year is too risky. He'll be slower, and Canelo will dictate the pace." Now, this is a recent picture of Crawford, who definitely looks in shape. And, you know, that's what we come to expect from a guy like Crawford.
Chris Algieri is pouring cold water on the hype, calling out fans and promoters for overrating this fight. He says, yes, it's exciting, but it doesn't stack up to the true classics, those legendary battles between evenly matched fighters in their prime. Algieri warns, don't let the hype fool you. Crawford is stepping into unknown territory against a champion who's already conquered it. Is the public expecting too much? Or are they about to witness something unforgettable?
I love it, because I have a lot of casuals who go to me and like, man, I can't wait for this fight. This is the best matchup that could be made. And I'm like, no, it's not. It's certainly not. Definitely not. Definitely not the best fight that can be made right now. I can think of a dozen fights that I would rather see. And a lot of them include Inoue against a bunch of different guys that I would rather see over this fight. But casual fans don't care that much about 122-pound guys who fight across the world in Japan. They care about big names and characters. But at the end of the day, when you look at this on paper, Crawford's 38, Canelo's 35. Neither looked very impressive in their last fight. They're still 3 weight classes apart. That has not changed, because, you know, and Crawford hasn't fought in a year plus. And yeah, I mean, there's a lot of poo-pooing of this on paper. So I'm glad somebody says it. So thank you.
This guy, he didn't say his name. Yeah,
I like this guy. He came out there and just said his piece and left.
That's the type of guy that definitely calls in the WFAN here in New York. It's like, we need Boone fired. The Yankees suck. I don't look forward to anything. But,
what's up with that bullpen?
Yeah,
all right, I'm out of here.
I'm out. I'll hang up and listen. But yes, like you said, there are a bunch of fights you'd rather see. There are a bunch of fights I'd rather see both these guys in rather than the one we're getting. Like, I'd rather see.
That's a great way to put it too.
Yeah. Boots versus Crawford. I want to see Canelo versus Benavidez, Canelo versus Bivol, Canelo versus anyone at 168 of these top 5 there.
What about Virgil and Crawford? I like that fight. That got mentioned at one point.
Absolutely. I mean,
Great
but
fight.
this is how boxing works. We'll all be excited on September 13th because it is a big event. We've talked about this numerous times on the show. We need big events, at least 1 or 2 of them a year to stay relevant as a sport. It's on Netflix. We're all going to be excited that week heading into it. Maybe even that guy.
Hey, Dan and Chris. Love the show. This is Nero calling from Hollywood. I was wondering, with so many people taking Bud Crawford to win, I think at one point it felt like a hot take, and now it's becoming sort of a standard take. I hope this isn't too much of an abstract question, but can you think of another time where someone chose what seemed to be a hot take and then become the regular take? And what was the result of that fight? Personally, I think it's a bridge too far for Bud Crawford, and I think people are underestimating Canelo, but who knows?
Showbiz the Adult, a prominent boxing analyst, is pulling no punches when comparing resumes. He points out that none of Crawford's opponents would survive against the killers Canelo has faced. Canelo's career is a gauntlet of champions across divisions, while Crawford's undefeated record lacks that same level of threat. Yet critics have also accused Canelo of cherry-picking. The truth? Every Canelo opponent has been a top-tier boxer. Crawford's record is flawless, but the competition gap is impossible to ignore.
Name the fighters Crawford fought who would beat Triple G. That Spence that Crawford fought, that Kell Brook that Crawford fought, that Sean Porter that Crawford fought, would any of them beat Callum Smith at 168? I'm not sure how many fighters Crawford fought would beat the Miguel Cotto that Canelo fought. This is what I'm trying to say. When it comes to skill, experience has a lot to do with it. Case in point, you get an Austin Trout, you get a Caleb Plant, you get a Lara, you get a Floyd Mayweather, you get a Bivol. Just those 5, when it comes to experience, gives him the right experience that when he fights Crawford, he's not like, I don't know what this is like. There's not one fighter Crawford fought that would give him the experience against Canelo.
Inside Crawford's training camp, the intensity is off the charts. He's pushing his body and mind to the limit. Strength training, high-level sparring, and conditioning to handle Canelo's power. But it's not just physical. Crawford's team is drilling discipline and mental toughness, knowing one lapse could spell disaster. The bottom line, Crawford dominated Spence, but Spence didn't have Canelo's size, strength, or patience. This is a whole new level.
And that usually breaks him down. So with some fighters, I see is that they think that Canelo is easy work because of the fact that he's flat-footed and he just kind of like, he does basic, I would say. He has basic skills, but he's really good at those basic fundamental skills. He does everything almost like perfect. But yeah, he's flat-footed, but you got to realize that he also has hell of a head movement and body movement. He understands and he's perfected that rolling with the punch thing. He's been rolling with punches, like just to take off the steam off of the punches.
Former champ Kell Brook breaks down the matchup with brutal honesty. He respects Crawford's win over Spence, but says Spence is no Canelo. Canelo's mix of power, experience, and tactical genius is unlike anything Crawford's ever faced. Brook calls this the toughest test of Crawford's career. Never before has he faced a fighter so complete, with so many advantages in size, strength, and ring IQ.
You've got to sway towards Canelo. Crawford's going to have to, move up. And, I knew when I boxed Golovkin, there's a big difference, especially with someone that, fighting a middleweight, a mediocre world champion's okay. But when you're fighting someone like, Canelo or Golovkin, it's a different kettle of fish, I have to lean towards Canelo, but, Crawford's very, very, very good.
Do you think Crawford's still got the legs? Obviously, he's very much got great IQ in the ring, but he's very much a good mover as well. Do you feel like he's still got the legs to be maybe out-moving Canelo if he needs to?
Well, I don't know. You know, I think when we look back at Mayweather when he beat Canelo, he's a mover. Crawford's not really like Mayweather in that aspect. He's more. You know, he kind of sets his feet. He's cute with how he approaches chucking shots and moving. You know what I mean? I think it's a different fight to Mayweather, and Canelo's obviously a different fighter from when he boxed Mayweather.
That's a wrap for today's breakdown. If you want more exclusive boxing insights, fight analysis, and the latest updates, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications. The road to Canelo versus Crawford is just heating up. Don't miss a second.